On the second week of January 2014, my sister, Chima, the most beautiful of all my sisters, became pregnant. It was a disaster that put my family through difficult times of grief, pain, and suffering. Everyone was sad. We ate so little, and sometimes nothing at all. But that's no big deal. No one cared. Silence became the language of communication. Our hearts were heavy with anxiety and fear, and it showed in our eyes. Everyone was crying. My mother was not so strong. She was hypertensive, and it was getting worse day by day. My father was not too strong too. My siblings, confused and heartbroken, just like me. Then, my mother, I was tired of seeing her cry every day. Our fear was that if people get to hear that my sister is pregnant, our family is doomed. My father will lose his respect in the community. My mom will be sanctioned because she was a church leader at that time. My sisters may not be able to find a husband because of the bad image and reputation it will cause my family. My friends will mock me. No, I can't allow that to happen. So I decided to do something about it. I told my sister to abort the baby. She was scared. She said no. Abortion is not legalized in Nigeria. That means she will have to go through a very dangerous and unsafe abortion. But she was not ready to do that. I tried forcing her, but she refused. So I decided to tell my father so that he will use his position as a man and the head of the family to force my sister to have an abortion, whether she likes it or not. I was so sure and convinced that my dad would agree because his position was at stake too. But to my greatest surprise, my dad also refused. He said to me, allow Chimamba to make her own decision. I was angry. I was disgusted. I was furious. Dad, for crying out loud, she's a woman. She has no choice. She has. My father roared back at me. In Igbo land, fathers are known to be domineering, they control, and they protect the image of the family at all costs. But here is my father, so different, so weak to take up the challenge. But I didn't give up. I was determined to force my sister to have an abortion. So the battle line was drawn between my father, my sister, and I. Our once peaceful, lovely, and happy family became a war zone, and everybody was getting hot. My mom cried all day. Then my sister learned that I was making plans to force her to abort the baby, so she fled. Frustrated, I didn't know what to do. Unfortunately, I got admission to study in the university at that time, so it was a good escape for me. I left home too. It was a good escape. I left everyone, and I determined never to return. For 2 years, I never spoke with my dad. Occasionally, I spoke with my mom. I never asked of my sister's whereabouts. I completely erased her from my memory. Whether she lived or died, I didn't want to know. Then after 2 years, I decided to visit my parents, at least to see my mom, who was not feeling fine. I entered the house. I saw my mom sitting down, holding a boy who was waving at me, jumping up and down. I got closer, surprised. I've never seen the boy before. Gently, I carried him, pressed him against my chest, so closely that I could feel his heartbeat. I buried my eyes into his face. He was such a lovely boy. His face was radiant with peace and happiness. In his eyes, I saw the sun. And in his smiles, I felt and saw a beauty, a wonder that I can't describe with words. I kissed him 2 times or even more. Then my mom asked me, "Do you know the boy you're holding?" "No," I said, still playing with the boy. But I wanted to ask her that same question later. "That boy is Chima's son," she said, and I heard the thunder clap. The world stood still. Everywhere seemed dark. There was little or no oxygen for me to breathe in again. I didn't know what to do. I was so shocked. I opened my mouth to say something, but nothing came out. Only air, empty air. I tried again. This time I forced myself to produce words, yet nothing, no sound. Gently, I put the baby back into my mom's laps and groped my way back into my room. The distance was unreachable. I heard the boy crying while I was walking away. I wanted to turn back and carry him, but I didn't want to because I couldn't, because I was crying too, and I didn't want them to notice that I was crying. I went into my room, locked the door, and thought about everything. I thought about how beautiful that boy was. I thought about my father. I thought about my sister. I thought about the bond that developed suddenly between that boy and I, even though we were just meeting for the first time. Truly, blood is thicker than water. I became grateful to my father that he allowed my sister to make her own choice, even though she's a woman. I was grateful to my father because he taught me the real meaning of strength and courage, which is to be human, to be compassionate, and to let go for the sake of other people's rights, freedom, and happiness, even when your position, your respected position, your ego, and your pride is at stake. Thank you.